Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to Tapping to Your Creativity. I am hoping that this time I can connect with Katy Kun. She is an incredible artist joining us from the Bay Area, and I'm not sure what's happening and why I cannot request. Oh, yay! We did it!
I know. Actually, now I have to turn off. I'm on my iPad. I got to turn off my iPhone. My
Okay.
God.
Oh, you did it though. You stay here. Don't leave
Sweet.
me. Stay here.
Okay.
Say that
Do you
again.
remember last week talking about computer troubles?
Yes, I do remember that. But I'm so grateful, Katy, that we made it here, and Happy New Year to everyone. I'm so excited to be back and to have my good friend Katy joining us today and tapping to your creativity. And I seriously can't thank you enough for your generosity. And I know that we've talked briefly through the past weeks here, but I feel like a kindred spirit in you. So I'm super excited that you're here.
Oh, indeed. Thank you. And sorry if I get wobbly here, but honestly, I had it all set up with my phone, and then the cancel
Yes,
button was hiding the accept button. And it's like, isn't that kind of life? That's like a metaphor for life these days.
exactly, exactly. So let's
I'm
not even
trying
worry
to
about that.
accept it.
It's
The
all good.
cancel.
It's all great. So, so tell me, Katy, where are you? And I'm going to turn off the comments because I think it's a little disrupting here. But
Sure.
Katy, where are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my. Well, where I am literally right now, I might as well just show you. I'm in my studio in Sausalito, California. And here's a little, can you see the picture outside?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, today's a good day. The rain stopped. It's been beautiful. And yeah, so I'm here in Sausalito. I'm at a building called the ICB, the Industrial Center Building. I've been in this space for about 12 years. I am extremely fortunate to be with just an amazing group of artists. I think there's over 100 artists in the building, and I know many of them by name. You'd think after that long I'd know everyone. I don't, because it's constantly changing, but it's just an absolute uh, beautiful place for creativity. And so I feel very fortunate to be here.
Well, I think that I've interviewed a lot of your fellow artists from the ICB building, so I can't wait for myself to be able to come and in person to see all my new friends that are there. But
Absolutely.
can you tell us a little bit about your childhood? Take us all the way back. Were you always interested in the art world? Did you have parents that wanted you to explore and be creative?
Wow, what a great question. Nobody ever asked me that. That's awesome. Um, yeah, I think I've always kind of had some inclination towards creating something. I do remember I grew up in San Mateo, which is just south of here by about an hour. I'm third generation Californian. I've lived in the Bay Area my whole life, except for a couple of years going to UCSB freshman, sophomore year. Um, and one memory I have that my mom reminds me of that I love is she said that when I was about 5, she just let me draw on all the walls in my room. And I know for whatever reason, I
Oh my
think that
gosh.
I think honestly that made a difference somehow. Because I hear a lot of people talking about how, oh, they were told they could never be an artist or don't be an artist or whatever. My mom was like, just go for it. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. In high school, I remember spending a lot of time in my room listening to Joni Mitchell and, drawing and going through those, high school angsty times. But it was solace. It was solace. And I think to this day, I still find myself um, needing that solace, and art provides a great avenue for it. I've got total ADD, and so this is just a great channel for that.
Maybe
But it's
that's why your mom said, just go for it. Just
seriously,
get all
yeah,
your energy, bounce it off the walls,
yeah,
literally.
and then come to dinner.
And then come to exactly.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I think that matters. And then I did transfer to Cal and got my degree, my fine arts degree, Bachelor of Fine Arts at in Berkeley. And then after that, I worked a lot of corporate jobs for the next 15 years, really to make money. I worked in downtown Oakland at the city center for the developers there, which was a great experience because I just met so many wonderful people, and it was just a very alive time. Early 90s, and no COVID, lots of things were going on, lots of music, and just it was a great experience. And then the thing that really kind of connected me back to art was one summer when my kids were, 5, 6. We were in Idlewild at the, it used to be called Isomata, now it's Idlewild Arts Academy. And I was putting them through classes there. And one day I was like, why aren't I taking a class? So I signed up to take a printmaking class. And it was like my brain just exploded. I was like, oh my God, I have found something that is just an incredible new experience. And so that is what really got me back into wanting to make art. And I did printmaking in various places for a couple years, and then just realized I missed painting. And it was like, well, let's just see what is painting now that I'm in my mid 40s versus when I was 20, And so to all you women out there, I would say, the best years of my painting life has been in my 50s, and now I'm 62. So, it just kind of gets better.
So did you when you were in your 40s and you had this opportunity, did you full-heartedly just jump into becoming a full-time artist at that time, or this was just still on the side, or how did you combine that, being a mom and
Right.
having all this juggling balls, I guess?
Yeah, it was total juggling balls. The first thing that I did once I got really excited about this, I met a woman at the Mill Valley Arts Fair, art festival, and her name was Judy Lehner, Theo Lehner, and she was this wonderful, crazy, bright red-haired woman, and I loved her art. And so we kind of met at the fair, and one day she said, "Why don't you come help me in the booth?" And I thought, oh, how fun, I'll pay you 10% of whatever. And instead I said, why don't I, we sold a lot of art that day. And I just said, why don't you just trade me for one of your prints? And I did that. And then we just became really good friends. And she had a studio in Sonoma. And so we did a trade where I would do her website for her and she would let me use her printing studio. And so what I would do is drop the kids off at 8:30 for school,
Oh my gosh.
bust a gut to get to Sonoma. By 10 a.m., I had everything set up. And if you've ever done any monotype printing, it's quite a setup. You need your clean area. You need to
And it
soak
takes
your,
a long time.
it does. You need to soak your paper. You need to get your inks ready and all that. But I would just go and do that. And I would work like crazy till 2 o'clock, clean up, bust home and get the kids. And you know what? There was something about that urgency that just made me really productive. And I totally fell in love with it. And after about a year of doing that, it was like, it kind of became too much. And then I just thought, well, maybe I should just, start painting, like literally in my kitchen in Mill Valley. So I kind of did that for a while. And then, oh yeah, well, one fun story. Again, this is for people when you apply, for a call for entry and you get rejected again and again. I remember at the time I had some beautiful prints that I'd done, and I applied with the Mill Valley Art Commission to have a show, and I was rejected. And I was so sad. I was so sad. I'd even been on the art commission. Okay, I was so sad. So what I did instead is I'm going to have a party. So I threw a big party at my house, put up all my prints, put price tags on them. And you know what? I sold like 13 pieces, just my friends.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I know, but it gave me enough. I kind of just created my own thing. It gave me enough momentum to just say, hey, this is good. I just got to keep going with it. I got to put the 10,000 hours in. So my first studio was at on Caledonia Street here in Sausalito. For 4 years, I rented this tiny little freezing space in the back. It was a cubicle, really. But again, I just made art there, and it was wonderful. And then I didn't even know about the ICB. The first time I walked through here, all the doors were closed, and I was like, "What is this place? This is insane. But I'd met a friend and colleague, Leslie Allen, and she had said, you should come check out the ICB. And I was like, I am down. So I did. And now I've been here, I think it's been 12 years. This is my 5th studio space. I'll just give you a quick look around and then we can look more. But it's kind of a nice space. I'm not leaving it. It'll probably be my last space because of that. People
No
ask me, they
kidding. I
say,
mean, what inspiration. You have an incredible inspiration out there and outside your doors. I mean, I think there's something to say about being surrounded with a community of artists, that you can just bounce ideas from each other and have critiques. I know that you are part of a really awesome critique group. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is for you, how it impacts you to be surrounded in this community versus being
wow.
in your previous studio?
Right, right. Um, First of all, like I was listening to your interview with Krista Harris, and I love that she can walk from her house to her studio at any given time and just pick up a brush. I kind of miss that. I always wished I'd had that at my house so that when that thought hit me quickly, I could just do something about it. Here you got to pack up to get here. But that said, honestly, the caliber of the artists here is incredible. And I'm kind of glad I've been here a long time because I think if I just moved in, I'd be really intimidated. But
Right.
the caliber's great. And you mentioned the critique group, and this is critical, I think, for um, everything from creativity to when you're having a downtime, having people that know you well enough. It's a very intimate situation. We share a common language and a common caring about each other and what we're doing. So it's a really, really safe space to just bring your work or talk about what's going on. It's very organized. Mariah keeps us on track. Depending on the number of people that show up, you get 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then the timer goes off. So it's really cooperative. But
I
it's just
love Mariah.
I know she's great, but it is amazing. I realize how fortunate I am. I know so many artists work in seclusion. I've actually now, connected with artists all over the States, all over the world, having conversations with different, different ways of maneuvering through their careers. And I feel very fortunate, of course.
Well, and I think that, isolation and COVID has also provided us with an opportunity to connect with people, even if we're not in the same space. So I really always say, like, you need your community of artists around you, but even if they're not there, you can reach out to someone and say, what do you see in my painting? And
Mm-hmm.
have that other person be a safe, like you said, a safe space for you. You will learn so much about that conversation and how to bring it back into your studio. It
Yeah.
is really something critical, that I would highly, highly recommend to anyone, no matter what stage in their painting, uh, life. Uh,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
and
And to add to that, you're aware, like, Nick Wilt has and Jen Tuff has Artist Alliance in Santa Fe. There's so many great groups. I don't do Facebook, thankfully. For 6 years, I got off Facebook, but there's so many other great connections artists can have around if they don't have, people down the hall from them that they can just go knock on the door.
exactly, exactly. And Katy, were you always an abstract, non-objective artist, or did you start in a different genre, or where did you start?
Good question. I would say I've always abstracted any subject matter. So whether it was in the printmaking, kind of being inspired both by just abstract shapes and then with printmaking, with monotypes, it's like you never know what you're going to get. So you can really just play around until something clicks. Um, then I'm really inspired by the landscape. I mean, whether it's, looking out and seeing the sailboats, which I don't really paint sailboats anymore, but, sailboats or, the colors and the hills, anything you can abstract. So in that sense, I have been. I also love figurative work, but that has to come from a really um, uh, it's hard to explain. To do, for me, good figures, it has to be really, really poignant in some way. I can't just do a body sitting or this, that, or the other. It's got to be some other thing, usually angst ridden, you know, like the woman that just got home from the party and feels like crap, or, you know, you know,
Oh,
something
I
like
love
that.
that.
Or when my brother passed away some years ago, I just was so full of this need to get out these dark spaces. And I did this incredible work. And, you know, that was probably the last time I actually did figures, because it would just, you know, kind of took it all out of me. So you know, I like abstract. Yeah. Abstract can be anything. You're just pushing it beyond what it is. And you're hoping there's some psychic residue where people can relate to it and find their own, you know, I don't know,
Right. It
attach
sounds like
connection.
you're very honest with yourself. And you allow yourself to go to those dark places in order to bring out, or not dark, but just be very in tune with what's going on inside your body, and then be able to translate that into a painting.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do. That's not easy. So, is this very natural to you? Is you always do this, or do you have to search for it?
Well, my husband always says a good fight at home makes me do really great work in the studio. So I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of true. You know, it's all, to me, it's all energy based, you know, and when I say energy based, it's hard to explain, but, you know, we all have different energies at different times. And sometimes I just feel like this beautiful, weepy sense of something. And other times I just feel like, oh my God, this world is too much, you know, and I got to make it better. I got to find the intrinsic beauty even in the too muchness. So, you know, different kinds of energies. So, recently I filled out an application for a SICA award. I was nominated for, it's called the Society for the Enhancement of Contemporary Art through the San Francisco MoMA. I don't know why somebody would pick me. I don't know why somebody would pick me, because I look at the winners, I'm like, I'm not doing anything in my mind extraordinary other than really just trying to tap into what it is that I can do. And that is kind of hard, actually. And when you're writing an artist statement, it's like, I wish somebody else would write it for me. It's so difficult to try to tell people what I do. So I just kind of came up with this concept of like, I'm kind of a process artist. And then what I mean by that is like, I'm constantly processing what's around me, my reactions, my feelings. And then I'm trying to just take whatever's at hand and making something with that. So for example, and we can talk about this more later if you're interested, my recent residency in Oaxaca, you know, I went down there and it was like a totally new environment, very few resources. I brought some of my own, but I just decided I'm going to use only what's around me. I'm going to respond only what's around me. And it was a great experience. So that's kind
I
of how
can't
I
wait
see
for you to
things.
show us that. That for me was so exciting because, as you
Oh,
know, I'm from Mexico, and Oaxaca is one of the most incredible places for anyone that hasn't been there. You have to go and find incredible art, artists, food. The surroundings is incredible. So you were very, very lucky that you were able
uh,
to do this, and you just did it this last year.
October, the whole month of October. It was amazing. Yeah. And I've been to Oaxaca. That was my fourth time. And, you know, my Spanish was a little rusty, but by the end it was coming out pretty flow.
So, Katy, before we go into your gallery space, tell us what was the switch of becoming a full-time artist and then now being represented by three different galleries? How did that happen? Did you find the galleries? Did the galleries find you? Um,
Wow.
and I guess, what are tips for new artists or established artists that want to find galleries? What would you say?
That is such a loaded question.
I'm sorry.
Because a lot of it is luck. You know, a lot of it is being in the right place at the right time. The first gallery experience I had, I was at Marin Masters show in Mill Valley, and Simon Breitbart Art. They were just kind of getting started, and they came through, and we connected, and I really liked them. Woman-owned business. Um, and it was just Stephanie Breitbart at the time. And we just really connected, and she sold my work really well for a long time. I don't know. I feel like we kind of grew together during that period. And now I'm working with a gallery in Burlingame. And again, to me, so much of all of this is about connecting to the people that run the gallery, making sure that it's a professional environment, but it's also really personal. And for me, the people I'm working with right now are just amazing human beings. But for all of them, I did really establish a relationship first. I did not go in and say, here, look at my portfolio or this. I didn't do that. I just developed the connections. And then as time goes by, when something comes up, you're somebody on their list they want to call. So I would say that. And of course, in the meantime, if you're just starting out, you do the call to entries, you just put yourself out there. You show your work in cafes, anywhere where you can just do it and start conversations and relationships with people. In the end, in Burlingame, my friend actually, or a client, she bought a piece of my art, took it to get framed. They loved the art, and then they started representing me. So you just never know where it's going to come from. You just got to put yourself out there and don't feel too bad when you're rejected. It's okay.
And I think that you are someone that, you've said you don't look at Instagram every day. You don't, you're not even on Facebook. You keep that space to yourself. When you want to, you go into that space, but it's not like a chore to do. You're not, posting every single day. You're not, interested in that. And I think there's value in how you're approaching your work ethic and how you stay focused on what you're doing. Because I feel sometimes, social media can take away from, you being present in your work versus thinking like, oh, I got to get this reel out. I got to get this video. I got to get this thing. I got to put my phone on. So I think you have a lot of, courage to not jump into it, because I think it's so easy for us to jump into it. I think it's hard not to do that. So,
and I think the hardest thing about that, I'm glad you brought that up, is really comparing yourself to other people. Oh my God, if you want to cry, you just go look at somebody's beautiful work they just posted and think, why can't I do that on demand?
Exactly.
Don't you think? And of course I want to share my wins. Just for example, I had the 3 clients come in at Open Studios, and they're all clients that I've worked with for years. I can't believe they even keep coming back. Most of them are in their 70s and 80s, and they're still buying my art. It's just it's incredible. And I know I'm almost going to cry, but I'm not going to post that picture. I'm not going to say, oh, thank you, so-and-so from Tiburon for coming back. It's like, I'm grateful, and that's a private conversation. So sometimes we have to open up and be vulnerable and share stuff, and sometimes we don't. And it's kind of learning that boundary, I think, is really, for me, it's really important, because, but then again, there are artists in all over the world, Abu Dhabi and Spain and Portugal that I follow, Africa. It's amazing. So for that standpoint, it's like, wow, you can get a lot out of social media, but don't let it run your life.
I agree. I so agree with that. So, okay, Katy, on your device, there's 2 arrows where you're going to flip the camera. So you can take it around the studio and we can talk about your artwork.
Okay. Now, since I have my iPad, it's got to cover. Hold tight with me for a minute. It's got to cover. I've got to figure out which way. I got to make sure that it's not covering the. Yeah, there we go. All right. There we go. Okay.
Woo. Is that
you want to
Oaxaca?
talk about Mexico? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So again, part of my story, and I do love this story, I have to say. I was at Architopia Foundation. It's in a little town called San Pablo Etla, just outside of Oaxaca, the center of Oaxaca. And I went down there with my literally 98-pound suitcase full of materials because I knew it would be hard to get stuff there, and it really actually was. But I got down there,
98?
98 pounds. Sharon Pastor told me that's how much she weighs. I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to take you next time. Anyway,
Oh
anyway, so I got down there and it was a tiny little space I was working in. And if you want to see more pictures, they're on my website. But basically what I did was I took these unprimed scrolls because it was easy to pack, and then with all the paints. And in the end, I didn't end up using very much of my own paint, because what I did instead was each day, my idea was that I would start with one section of this because there wasn't much room to work in, and I would just kind of observe where I was and see what was going on. And so, for example, this one, I literally just did a chalk rubbing of the stone floor that was in my studio. Put the medium down so it would hold the chalk, and that a medium, it was probably the airbrush medium because it's a very thin binder. But then like here, this is bougainvillea leaves, that little pink thing. And yeah, and because the place I stayed, it just was full of bougainvillea and hibiscus. And like that one, for example, is it's just a hibiscus, leaf with paint on it. Behind it, that dark color, it's called cochineal, which is a, do you know cochineal?
Yeah.
It's made from a bug that grows on a cactus plant that they harvest and turn
It's
into
called cochinilla. Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
Anyway, so each day I just did a little something. That's a cyanotype. Really had a lot of fun just taking that down. Cyanotype's a solar photography process, basically. Anyway, so everything I did, just each day.
So you have a space where you can work, Katy? How did that work? What, did you have a studio?
Not a sole studio. It was a room probably 15 feet by, I want to say, I don't know, 25 feet. And there were a few other people in there, but we were all doing different things. One woman was doing some weaving, another was learning to make the dyes and things like that. So we all kind of just did our different things, and I could work at night or not or whatever. It was a very solo time in the end. It was whatever I wanted to do. And I just loved picking up the materials from around the property and turning them into art. So that's what I mean about process art.
Yes, and they look like textiles, but they're not.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
Got the idea probably from being, right there next to someone who was doing textiles.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it has
just a whole different way of approaching it.
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right, what else do we want to look at? What do we want to talk about?
All your paintings, the paintings that you have on your wall.
Oh, okay. Let's see. All right. So here's a painting. This is a midway painting, and again, I don't usually like to show works in process, progress, because I don't know. The judgment comes in, but this is
a safe place. It's a safe space
safe
here.
place. Yes, it is. It is. I know, because I'm hopefully there's lots of artists watching, because artists are my favorite people.
Yes, there are lots of watching.
Yeah. So this is a piece, for example. Sorry, there's my little setup that didn't quite work. But this is a piece that I did decide it's just done. It's just what it is. Even though it's sort of an undeveloped piece, but I ended up just loving it. It reminded me of Paris, and I'm going to go to Paris in the spring. So I'm super excited, and I'm like, I'm just going to leave that until I can't. But actually, one thing I thought would be pretty fun. So here we're moving into this little mid space of my studio. I wanted to just say that here are a couple of pieces of mine. Sorry, they're not hung, but I have no more wall space. A couple pieces that I did during early COVID. And I think I snuck into the building because I didn't actually know we weren't supposed to come to the building. I didn't get that memo, but it was closed for a while. And I would come in and say, oh my gosh, like, where is everybody? This is so weird. And then I just got really solemn. And the body of work that came out, I was so excited about, because it was dark, but really, really, meaningful to me. Like, that's not easy to digest, I don't think.
No.
But, you know, but at the same
No, but
time, I'm like,
like I
mm,
said, you are someone that can go inside themselves and really bring out what you're thinking. And so you can see the angst, you can see the, maybe the fear, the uncomfortable
absolutely.
of how we were leaving and not having any control whatsoever, because it looks like there's no control, there's no balance.
Right, right. And yet, like, I love the mark making. I think the
Oh
mark
yeah.
making is really
Oh yeah.
beautiful. So it's
The
like,
language that you're having there, it's crazy good.
yeah, thank you. Well, in the end, like more than half the pieces sold at a show I had. So people did resonate on some level. So that's pretty
Do
cool.
you like working usually in canvas or paper or wood? What is your preference?
Yeah, canvas. I use Masterpiece canvas because they're very sturdy and really high quality. Oh, here's left from Christmas party, little mini coronitas. But this room I love because, okay, so on to
Oh,
a
look at
brighter
that.
subject. So
Oh,
these were pieces inspired when I got back from Oaxaca. So I just was like full stop color. And this is my last triptych I have available. The two other ones, and sorry, the camera on this is not nearly as good as my phone, but it will have to do.
yeah.
And then I've got this piece too. So I do love color. It's still got a lot of, I would say, energetic mark making, but I also think that
When you
it's fun.
start a piece, do you have a color palette in mind, or do you react to what you're seeing?
Okay, so when I did these pieces, for example, I was total limited color palette. I just
Right.
said, you got three colors, a tiny bit of blue, don't overdo it. So here's kind of what I work with on a typical basis. Um, and my goal this year is to use everything I have. I'm not going to buy, other than white and mediums, I'm not going to buy any new colors. I'm literally going to use up what I have. The waste that I think is so easy to produce, I have
I'm
to get a
right
grip on it.
with you on that. I agree with you. I need
Yeah,
to use everything that I have before I start buying anything else.
yeah, exactly. So I love golden paints. They're definitely my favorite. Sennelier, I use some of those too. Typical tools. My brushes are so old. My brushes, where am I here? These things are like, they're like, some of them are just like stiff as a board, but I love them. So, because, scratch, move, scrape, whatever. But this palette, okay, like I look at that and I go, oh God. But then my goal was to use all the colors I didn't like and then make them something I liked. For example, phthalo, phthalo green. Ugh, so hard to use. But I just decided that I was going to do it. And so then in the end, when I added a couple other colors like black and stuff, it looked amazing. So,
Oh my
so
God.
yeah.
So obviously you don't think what you're going to do. You start with mark making, you start activating the canvas, and then you respond to it.
Yes, yes. And sometimes Krista and I laugh about this. It's like, I don't know why I picked purple. I don't like purple. But then you put it on, you're like, okay, now I have to do something to it. And it almost makes it easier.
So do you start with a background color or you start with a white canvas?
Yeah, white. And it's funny because honestly, I have started before where I have made like Mark Eanes teaches this great class on color and how to look at color and amounts of it. And I did a retreat with him and a group of people in Italy a few years
Oh,
ago,
I'm
and
so jealous. I love
oh,
Mark. He's been with me twice. I
he's
love him.
amazing. He's amazing. And I just love the way he taught about color. And I got so much out of it. And then I went back and pretty much just went right back to the way I do things because,
It's
you
hard.
know, it is hard. It's
Color
hard to,
is very scientific. Color
yes.
is being in a science lab, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it
And
is. And it's
so,
fun. So if I do that ahead of time, honestly, I can whip out a painting pretty fast. If I go, okay, these are the 5 colors I know I want. So why don't I do that every time? I don't know. Why do I put myself through just, ah, serious
so
problem
do
solving
you
every
do you
time?
use mainly acrylic with mark making water soluble um, tools?
Yes, 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 I do. And I was going to show, might be kind of hard, but if you're interested, I mean,
Yes.
give me a sec here. Let me flip this around. Okay, let's see if we can, you can see this. All
Yeah.
right. I should open, well, M&Ms, got to have the M&Ms. Well, here's some tools. The color shaper. And sorry, again, I'm really doing a two-handed deal here. So this would be a, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
This is a woody.
Yeah.
Krista teaches with this a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. It said I wasn't using the app. It paused me. Not true.
Oh.
Anyway, heavy gel mat here. Just sticking it. This is a thing I would do potentially on a canvas to start something. Just do some mark making, push it around. And if you do it enough, pretty soon some abstract shape you didn't even know was going to happen will start showing up. So
Right.
that's one thing I love to do. And then the other tool I use a lot, well, not tool, it's a medium. I suggest this for anybody that wants to feel like they're painting in oil, is I use this airbrush medium. It's kind of like using a turpentine if you were painting with oils, to make a really thin, transparent, much more rich than like using water. So I that is one of my absolute must do. So
I haven't used that. I will for sure get that.
Oh yeah, you got to use that. So here's pretty much just the main things I use. I got the regular gel gloss, the heavy gel matte, and the airbrush medium. And with those, you can pretty much do anything. You can turn any color into anything. And then I do typically just keep out 2 blues, a warm and a cool. Payne's gray, got to have that. 2 yellows, yellow ochre, the cadmium yellow medium. God, I just have fallen in love with that. I had years where I didn't even use a yellow. I don't know what, yellow and red, they just turned me off, but now I love them. So maybe
Well,
that was
there's so
the
much you
Hawkeye.
can do with it. It's so versatile.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
really do so much with it.
So much, pretty much everything. Those colors,
Yes.
you can make any other color. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm going to use up all my tubes this year.
Yes. So, Katy, you were so gracious because you donated a piece for Feeding America. So, can you show us that piece?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
And we were able to sell that piece last night, very late. And I am so excited, Katy, because we made $500 for Feeding America, which means that our art collector that bought it helped 5,000 meals. She provided 5,000 meals.
Oh my God.
So it is
Okay.
really unbelievable, humbling. I am so excited, and so I'm so thankful for you and for them to purchase this. And this is why I love doing Tap Into Your Creativity, because I've said it before, we need an army of artists, we need an army of people that love art and want to help at the same time. So this is just an incredible situation that we have here. So thank you, Katy, and I can't wait to show your piece, even though I've shown it yesterday, but I'm so happy and excited.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me be part of that. Honestly, I mean, artists get asked to donate all the time, as you know, and I actually think it's wonderful. I've been donating to Limelight. I've been donating to Art for AIDS for years. And this is part of that connectivity I was talking about, when you can actually do something that connects you with other people, and donating in this way, everybody wins, and so, yeah, thank you. Thanks for being part of it. Okay, so I'm coming up to the piece here. Ooh, there we go.
If for people that didn't see your video explaining what this is, can you please tell us what this is and the prompt that you used?
Sure. So getting back to, I was talking about our critique group. We've been together, I think it's been 4 years now. And about once a year, we'll just do a prompt. And this one, everybody submits a photo. And in this case, it was a road, obviously a picture of a road. And so we all vote on what we're going to do, and then we do our own interpretations of it. And I don't know, this was just fun because I was motivated because I knew it was going to be used for this purpose also. But yeah, I don't even know, like I look at it and I go, is that even what I would do if I didn't have a prompt? Probably not. but the prompt is really fun in that way, right? Because it's like problem solving. It's like, oh, you got to focus, but you don't know what's going to happen with it. So I'm really happy how it turned out, and I'm so glad that someone wants to have it in their collection. I think that's wonderful. So,
Well,
yeah.
and like I said before, you know, there's nothing but goodness coming out of this, because there are so many people in need of food right now. The situation is getting just worse and worse for people, really. So
The disparity
not
is
only for
insane.
this purpose, but it is. And if you feel in your heart to make a donation to Feeding America, even if you're not getting an art in return, please do so, because there are a lot of people in need right now. So,
Yeah.
so anyways, thank you again.
You're
And
welcome.
so, Katy, you and I talked about your rhythm on coming into the studio, and I think you touched on the very important subject of how you decide to go in, not every day. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your routine is like?
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for when you can tap into your creativity every day. I know a lot of people do it regardless of what their mood is. And I used to do that a lot, actually, and it's good, because sometimes you never know what's going to come out. And so regardless if you're in a good mood or not. But for me, I can't get here every day. I juggle a lot of things with family and animals, etc. So for me, it's like when I am here, I am so focused, I'm so channeling, I'm so dedicated and committed to getting to that place to do something. So that's what works for me now in my life. And again, I wish I had a studio at home so that when I felt the mood, I could just pop out there. That would be awesome. But well, I'm an empty nester now, so maybe that will happen. I don't know. But no, but when I come here, it's all about this, and I just go right at it. But also, I was thinking that one thing that for sure COVID has taught me is, like, I just need more space in between things. I cannot go at the breakneck speed I have and had been going at, my whole life. I need space in between things, space to think, space to contemplate, space to just observe and just be. So that's kind of where I am right now. But it's translating well in the studio, because when I'm here, I'm just like, I know the feeling of what I want to do. And if I can get into that, then just magic seems to happen.
So when you have the time off, you're not beating yourself like, shoot, I should be in the studio working. Because
Not anymore.
that's another thing that happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
we
just
beat
something in
ourselves.
your head, though. It's something in your head. And if you're, yeah, right. I mean, we construct these things, or someone tells us that's how it should be, or you're not good enough if you're not, 2000 houring every week,
Exactly.
no, but again, each person's different, right? So it's who, who are you in your art? Who are you? And it's not infinite. It is finite. We only have so much time. The product can be infinite, but the actual, living the life of even a practicing artist, it's still finite.
I love that. You should actually, that should be part of your description.
Can you record that for me? Because I don't
It
even know
is
where that came
recorded.
from.
It is recorded, and I'm opening questions right now for people. So I just turned
Sweet.
on the comments. So if you have any questions for Katy, this is the right time to ask them. But I think that you just said a really, really beautiful thing. And seriously, Katy, you're going to have to come back to this and put it into words, because I do think that we ourselves are our worst critics, our worst. We're so hard on ourselves. And I think
Oh, yeah.
talking about space right now, it just feels like you can breathe, and it's okay to breathe, and it's okay to take the time. And then you come back very ready to work.
I think so. Yeah, I think you said it best.
I don't think so. um, what is your favorite? Pam is asking, what is your favorite brand of mezcal?
Oh my gosh. Well, They don't sell it here. It's a good question. When I was there, I went to, you know, the where they make excuse me, where they make the mezcal. It's amazing. The process takes a really long time. So if you're going to buy, I would just say spend a lot of money on a good bottle because it's like nothing. I mean, I thought I liked tequila and I do, but mezcal is a whole other world. It's wonderful. And
Oh,
no brands here. I mean, you can get good brands. Go to like, well, depending on where you are, you know, go to your local merchant. If you're in the Bay Area, you know, go to Mill Valley Market or something like that because you'll find something good. But
love.
I bought a bottle there that was $75 there, so
Oh,
you can't even get it
that's
here. So
crazy.
that's
So
crazy.
we
But
have
that's
another question,
oh
Katy.
yeah, sorry.
Why
I know I'm going to
why
go off on the
acrylic?
tequila.
Why acrylics over oils?
Oh gosh, yeah, I learned to do a lot of painting in oils in college and high school, but acrylics, first of all, the drying time is great. I like to do a lot of layering. So dry, 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 work, work, work. Um, Also, it's non-toxic. And, you know, I don't know, some people aren't worried about it. And if you have a good space, but oils can still be really toxic. And I don't know. And they're expensive. And I feel like it doesn't change the way I make the art. Once you master your materials, it doesn't matter what medium you're working in because you're interested in you know, the final
And you just said
thing.
something key. You use the airbrush to have a finish like oils. And so, and you use the senneliers, which also help that.
They're very rich. There's
They're
so many
very
rich
rich.
colors. You know, the only colors I can never quite compare are red. Good reds and oils are just beyond. And whites. There are some just creamy whites that are very hard to mimic. So I'm not trying to mimic anything though. That's the thing. I'm not trying to mimic oils. I'm just trying to create something that, you know, is exciting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you should definitely switch to acrylics if that's something that you want. The airbrush, you should try that. Definitely will help. Oh, hi, Mark. Marky has just joined. I'm so happy.
Mark.
Katy, are you, what is your plan for 2022?
Whoa, my plan for 2022 is as much travel as I can get in safely for sure. But also kind of just sticking with this program, using what I have. I do have to buy more canvases. I'm going to probably try working on some more unprimed canvas. It really is fun just because again, it brings an unknown quality to it. You don't know how it's going to absorb or not absorb or move or what, you know, the paint move or whatever. So I think that's kind of exciting to just experiment a bit. Um, yeah, I think just experimentation, you know, seeing
Who's your
seeing where it
inspiration,
takes me.
Katy? Who do you get inspired by?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so many like current local artists like Krista Harris, of course, Krista. Um, Jenny Nelson, I don't paint like her, but I love watching her. Um, then Romano Lotto is an Italian plein air painter that I just love because he goes out and makes these beautiful abstract paintings quickly. And I like the quick work. Again, why acrylics too? I like the quick work because overthinking things never works for me. You know, think later, look back later, think later on what you're doing, but just start with just, you know, emoting first for me. Of course, Joan Mitchell, but nobody's like Joan. So, but that, you know, obviously the way she thought about creating her work is what I want to tap into, the way she thought about it. So, or felt about it. So that's, you know, one of my inspirations for sure.
And any good books that you recommend that you've read in the past or that you have in your studio that it's a go-to?
Oh gosh. Guy Chambers gave me a book, and it was a conversation between Giacometti. Was it Giacometti? I'm pretty sure it was Giacometti drawing this guy, and it was a conversation and a drawing and redrawing and a just destroying and coming back. And I can't think of the name, darn it, but I will get it to you and post it because it was
Yes.
amazing. Also, I listened to the audio version of a book called Blue Territory, and it is a beautiful, quick expose on Joan Mitchell. And it
Oh,
just talks about her early life in her Chicago, looking out her windows and seeing blue, her,
John
her,
Lord.
What's that?
John Lord.
John Lord. The other book?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, did someone write that? Awesome.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. It's amazing. Thanks, Pamela. Yeah, but the Blue Territory, oh my God, I've listened to it 5 times. I like Audible. I've listened to it 5 times, so I would suggest that.
Oh, I love that. And last but not least, what would be some suggestions or tips that you have for artists that wanna become professional and have this as their life? What would you say? How to start? What to do?
Well, I think, everybody has a different definition of what their life is. I know for a few people in our building, they have made an incredible business out of their art. They just said, I'm going to do this, and they do it. And it blows my mind because it takes a lot of energy, business know-how. It's good to have a balance of left brain, right brain, the creativity, but also, keeping track of your business aspects of it. Again, you just have to put yourself out there over and over, take risks. You got to take a risk. You get a studio, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to pay this much for a studio, but it will prompt you to use it, So
Right.
you just gotta keep going. And it's hard if you have to pay the mortgage and a studio, that puts you in a different, predicament. That's a lot harder. But if you can manage to do it, just do it. Make your connections, make your relationships, keep practicing, take classes. There's so many amazing teachers out there. And you and I know, we talked about this. I don't take very many classes because it throws me off my game. I feel like at this point, after so many years, I've got so much in here. I just need to pull it out. I need to focus on what I want to pull out. But that said, every once in a while, people will just say something that clicks in a different way. And then it's like, aha moment. So, you just have to engage and develop those relationships and trust yourself
And I
and
think
don't get mad.
be open and accept everything that you want. And it's up to you, really. You're the one who's pushing yourself. You're the one who's showing up. No one is telling you to show up. So like you said, it's your own journey and you shouldn't compare to anyone else.
Right.
Just follow your heart and do what feels good to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So I think when they talk about, truth in art or, you're being authentic, those are such strange words, right? But it really is all about yourself, and not in a selfish way. It's just about yourself. It's trying to tap into your deepest, the things that have moved you over your life, the things that, your own experience. And I think when you can do that, then you're being as truthful as you can. And usually something really magical will come of it.
So let me ask you one more question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the value of doing a residency like you did?
Oh, well, this one was very unique because it was very little input or output, from anyone else. I think the thing, again, is putting yourself in a potentially uncomfortable situation and having to deal with it and go deep. And this wasn't an uncomfortable situation, but it was definitely off the beaten path. And so, again, that risk taking and that just being open to, you don't know what is going to come up. You don't know what's going to happen, but you're accepting of it all.
So you grow a lot. That's what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
You grow by yourself, with your work. I think that, when you're most vulnerable is when the best of you comes out.
I think so. And it's scary. It can be very scary.
Oh, yeah.
Is it good enough? Is it right? Did I fulfill my mission? Are my expectations met? All those things. But in the end, yeah, you have to put that aside. You got to get to a different place.
Yes. Well, I seriously can't thank you enough, Katy, for joining me. I feel like I found a new friend in you. And like I said, I feel like you're a kindred spirit to me. And I can't wait to come and maybe paint in your studio with you.
You have an open invitation. And since my daughter moved to Santa Barbara, I have a really beautiful guest room.
Oh, there you go.
Come on down.
Thank you to our art collector who bought your piece. You
Yes.
guys, without you, all of you, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much. And I will see you next week with Sergio Gomez. So
Ooh.
yes, he's awesome. And we're going to have an awesome conversation. So thank you all for joining us. Katy, again, thank you so, so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
And,
It was
and
lovely.
yes. Oh, yes. What is your website?
Oh, just my name, katykuhn.com, KatyKuhn.com.
Okay, perfect.
Oh,
Thank you,
thanks so
everyone.
much. It's so fun to see you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Hi, Julie. Bye, Julie.